Okay, so this screen actually completes Superlab 2. So what are we doing in this screen? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to stitch together an L2 circuit that's connected to router 5, which of course is targeted LDP, and an L2VPN connected to router 1. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to stitch them together on router 4. And what this means is that we're going to have an L2VPN configured on router 1 and on router 4. And we see this here. This is the L2VPN configuration for the routing instance for router 1 and router 4. And we're going to have an LDP L2 circuit on router 5 and on router 4. And here we can see the L2 circuit configuration for router 5 in the pink and below it router 4 in the red. We're going to stitch them together on router 4. We're going to do that by means of an IW0 interface rather than an LT, which is part of the requirements we've been given. It means we've got to turn this protocol on, and then obviously we do the standard unit 0, P unit 1, P unit 0. And of course, both encapsulations are going to be VLAN CCC, and of course, that's at both ends of both of the circuits. Okay, then finally, once that's done, we're then going to steer the L2 traffic down a particular LSP. And the way that we're going to do that is on the L2 circuit here, we're actually going to attach a community name, which is a little bit unusual. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that both on router 5 and on router 4. And then we're going to create a new LSP specifically for the steered traffic. Now this LSP is going to have an admin group to exclude gold. And it's a standard label switch path. It's running from R4 to R5 and of course from R5 to R4. Finally, we're going to have policy options, policy statement. We're going to have a mapping here, and this policy statement mapping L2 circuit LSP is going to have term 1, which is from protocol L2 circuit, from the community L2 circuit map, which we can see on here. We're going to install a next hop LSP onto that LSP. We're going to be attaching that as an export onto the forwarding table. So set routing options, forwarding table, export, mapping L2 circuit LSP. So that's going to be roughly what we're doing. So let's take a look then. Okay, well firstly on router 1 we need to set up the interface. So we've got set interface, gigabit Ethernet 003. We've got apply groups accept, because we don't want this group, we don't want all of the apply group to apply there. Flexible VLAN tagging, we've got encapsulation flexible Ethernet services, and there we have our unit 1700, and of course we're encapsulation VLAN CCC circuit cross connect with VLAN ID 1700. And that's going to be happening on router 1 and pretty much exactly the same up here on 003 on router 5. So router 1, router 5, preparing the basic interface. Okay, so let's have a look at the L2VPN first. So set routing instances, L2VPN, that's the name of our instance obviously, and its instance type L2VPN. And we've got quite a lot of L2VPN here, so it can get a little bit confusing. So routing instance L2VPN, we've got the interface here inside the L2VPN. Of course we have the route distinguisher, and we have the VRF target. Okay, and VRF target is fine here. We don't need a VRF import and an export. I mean, after all, this is an L2VPN. There's going to be no complex import and export requirements. We then have set routing instances L2VPN, protocol L2VPN, encapsulation type Ethernet VLAN, which is the standard. And then we have the site. So L2VPN, protocol L2VPN, site. Now we could have called this site 1. We called it site L2VPN. So routing instances L2VPN, protocol L2VPN, site L2VPN, but we're site ID 1. Of course, at the other end, we're going to be site ID 2. That's on router 4. And of course, under the site, we have the interface. And if you remember the way that the sites are mapped, we've got the site ID, and then we have the local interface or sort of, data link connection identifier, as it were, and that will connect to the remote site. And because we're site 1, that remote site will be site 2. And at the other end, of course, we've got site ID 2, and that is going to be, and the local, and that will be connecting to site ID 1. Okay, so that's the L2VPN, and of course we have that on router 1 and we have that on router 4, because of course we're going to need this routing instance to connect up between R1 and R4. Next, let's have a look at the L2 circuit. So this is the L2 circuit. It's going to be obviously LDP. So we have on router 5, set protocol L2 circuit, the neighbor, R4's address, the interface, the virtual circuit ID. Nice and simple. And then on router 4, exactly the same thing, set protocol L2 circuit, we've got the neighbor, we've got the interface, virtual circuit ID. And notice here that we're using interface IW0.1. Okay, now we come down, we look at the actual stitching together. And on the stitching together, we've got this protocols running, which is required for this IW0 interface. So set protocols L2IW, set interface IW0, unit 0, encapsulation VLAN CCC. That's the same encapsulation everywhere here, because of course this is the LDP version of the layer 2 VPN, so it's exactly the same. We've got unit 0, VLAN ID 1700, unit 0 PID P unit 1, and then we have unit 1 encapsulation VLAN CCC, unit 1 VLAN ID 1700, unit 1 PIR unit 0. That's going to stitch them together. So we've configured L2VPN, L2VPN, L2 circuit, stitch them together, all good to go. And now we come to this steering component. What we're going to be doing on the steering component is, firstly, we're going to have a new LSP specially for it. Set protocols MPLS label switch path, R4 to R5 L2 circuit. That's the name of our LSP. 2, and we've got the remote IP address there. We've got admin group exclude gold, and you'll notice here that there is an admin group gold here between R5 and R4. We don't want to use that, we want to steer it another direction. So then we come up here and we've got our policy statement. So on both router 4 and router 5, set policy option policy statement, mapping L2 circuit LSP, and that's the name of our policy there, mapping L2 circuit LSP, term 1 from protocol L2 circuit, community L2 circuit map from both of those, then install next hop LSP R5 R4 L2 circuit, which is this LSP here. And of course that goes on the forwarding table. So set routing options, forwarding table, export, mapping L2 circuit LSP.